Hello, my name is Mara, and welcome to Books Like Whoa. So we'll see how today's video is gonna go because I got a lot of books to cover. I was inspired by a video that I saw from Jean at Jean Bookish Thoughts, which is something you will hear me say often, I feel like, because I really enjoy her content. I think she just makes like super solid, like true blue booktube content. She's also like quite the omnivore, which is similar to me. So I just really like her content. I really like her. And she did a video recently with I think like 50 book recommendations based on genre. So I took that idea and thought I would like to do the same idea, like a bunch of different subgenres. I think I have like 70 plus in here, guys. We'll see whatever I put in the thumbnail. But I want to do that, and then I want to combine it with something I saw Books and Lala do once, which was she limited her descriptions to like 3 words or kind of phrases. So I'm going to attempt to give you 70 plus recommendations on where to start with a bunch of different subgenres. I just sort of like made my little list of all these different types of subgenre books. So I'm just gonna get into it. We'll see how it goes. Wish me luck. Cozy Mystery, A Murder at the Vicarage by Agatha Christie. Intrepid older lady detective, clueless but lovable vicar narrator, rich people getting into murderiness. Classic whodunit, I'm gonna go with Death on the Nile. A lover, scorn, seeking revenge. Fancy people taking a trip down the Nile in the 30s. Everybody's a suspect. Isolated closed circle mystery, meaning we're all trapped together, somebody dies, we gotta figure out who done it. And then there were none. Creepy house on an island. Everybody has a bunch of secrets. Nursery rhyme dictates how the killings proceed. Literary mystery, I'm gonna go with Gaudy Night by Dorothy Sayers. It is a women's college in the 30s. Somebody is stealing stuff. Old lovers reuniting to solve crime. Noir mystery, The Maltese Falcon. MacGuffin, the origin of a MacGuffin, really. Broody 1920s, 30s America. A bunch of over-the-top characters all trying to get the same thing. Mystery short story, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Classic, like archetypal hero and sidekick. Very short, bingeable mysteries. Always a clever how it was done. Mystery procedural. Naked in Death, the In Death series. Crime of the Week, future utopia-ish. New York City homicide, very character-driven. Thriller. The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. Triple timeline. Creepy girls' boarding school in rural New England. Is there a ghost? Horror. The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Isolated house. Psychological experiment. Is there a ghost? Space action adventure. All Systems Red. Murderous human-robot hybrid. Slight mystery plot. Everybody's trying to kill them on this planet. Dystopia. Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. English boarding school. Not as it seems. Beautiful writing. Post-apocalyptic science-y. We're gonna go with Bird Box by Josh Malerman. Road trip. There's a plague out there that can get us. Children in Peril. Sci-fi mystery. I'm gonna go 6 Wakes by Mur Lafferty. We all woke up and someone's dead. We're traveling through space, so no one can help us. Will the killer strike again? Weird sci-fi? The Library at Mount CHAR. Is it science fiction or fantasy? Are they gods or scientists? Real murdery. Time travel. 11/22/63 by Stephen King. Nostalgia for the idyllic American past. Time traveling back to see if we can stop JFK being assassinated. Long, but mostly sticks the landing, which is good for Stephen King. Military sci-fi, The Light Brigade by Cameron Hurley. Future Earth that is now dominated by corporations. Never-ending seeming war with Mars. Lots of timeline crossover confusion. Epic fantasy, The Lord of the Rings. J.R.R. Tolkien. Classic of the genre, the chosen one with the special object done right. Beautiful, very descriptive writing. Grimdark fantasy, The Poppy War by RF Kuang. Magic-y version of the Opium Wars. Extended time at a military training academy. Main character is based on Mao Zedong. Portal fantasy, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Children's classic. World War II kids get transported to a land where they are the special chosen ones fighting against a badass evil queen. Intrusion fantasy, meaning it's our world, but there's magic we don't know about it in our world. I'm gonna go with The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. Waking up in someone else's body. You're part of a secret magic-y organization. Magic, sci-fi, it's kind of, it's speculative. I'm gonna go with magic. And you gotta figure out who killed your original person in that body. Okay, then we're gonna go with post-apocalyptic high fantasy. Red Sister. Boarding school for warrior assassin nuns. World slowly being destroyed by climate change. Political machinations. Post-apocalyptic urban fantasy. Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. Global warming has flooded the earth. The Navajo, or the Decay, are in a special little bubble that has mostly been spared. Main character is a monster killer. Straight up urban fantasy, Stormfront by Jim Butcher. Magically version of our world, noir type detective, hijinks ensue. It's kind of like one of the it's very good, but it's like a very straight up version of an urban fantasy. Magically short story collection, The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter. Feminist AF, retellings of fairy tales, very dark. Magical realism, we'll go with Life of Pi by Jan Martel. Kid is in a shipwreck, there's a tiger. What is real? Short story collection, A Good Man is Hard to Find by Flannery O'Connor. Southern Gothic, sudden brutality, beautifully written. British classic, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Novel of Manners, bunch of girls trying to get married off, very beautifully observed and funny. French classic, Candide by Voltaire. Allegorical, I guess? I'm not sure if it's strictly an allegory, but let's go with allegorical. Philosophical funnies, very just like snappy and interesting. Russian classic, The Double, beautiful writing, grim outlook on life. What if there was another one of you running around? American classic, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Roaring Twenties, hollowness of the American dream, beautifully written. Modern classic, The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. So sad. Epistolary novel with a cinnamon bun narrator reflecting on the interwar period in the great houses of Britain. General historical fiction, The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by, the name escapes me, it's right here. Small town vibes, dealing with World War II, people coming together, but sad. Historical romance, medieval. Agnes Moore's Wild Night by Alyssa Cole. Memorable protagonist, set in King James's court, packs a lot of punch for a novella. Historical romance, Scottish. Never Seduce a Scot by Maya Banks. Arranged marriage between enemies. Heroine has been keeping a big secret, learning to overcome the nefarious elements around them. Historical romance, Regency. The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. Beauty and the Beast retelling starts off as a marriage of convenience, but we all know the feelings are going to come in. Banter. Historical romance, Victorian. The Duchess War by Courtney Milan. Heroine has a secret. Hero is a fancy duke. They're both trying to overcome labor inequalities. Beautifully written. Historical romance, romantic comedy. The Highlander Takes a Bride by Lindsay Sands. Dumb, hot people solving a murder mystery in the Scottish Lochs. Contemporary romance, Small Town. All I Ever Wanted by Kristen Higgins. Small town in Vermont, getting over a breakup, falling for the new guy in town, who is a vet with an adorable dog. Contemporary romance, city life, urban, Something About You by Julie James. Main characters interacted professionally before and it went badly. Now circumstances are bringing them back together professionally. Will they be able to sort through their past issues? Slow burn contemporary romance, Well Met by Jen DeLuca. Hero is in charge of the local Ren Fair that everybody takes very seriously. Heroine is in town taking care of her family temporarily. She thinks he hates her, but does he? Contemporary romance, Fake Dating, Act Like It by Lucy Parker. Main characters are both the stars of an upcoming London play. They need to revive the dude's reputation, so they're gonna pretend to date even though they hate each other. But I think that that's not going to last for long. Contemporary romance, romantic comedy, The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Two people don't like each other, seems to be a theme here, but they end up going on their respective siblings who are getting married's honeymoon and end up having to pretend to really be married. Hijinks ensue. Contemporary romance, erotic, The Theory of Attraction by Delphine Dryden, I believe. Nerdy hero who secretly is super into BDSM, teaches ways of that to the heroine, who is teaching him how to be less socially awkward. One of the only ones of these books that I think has a balanced power dynamic at play. Paranormal romance, vampires, Love Bites by Lindsay Sands. Vampire hero has a stalker who keeps trying to kill him. Heroine is a medical examiner who keeps finding his body in the morgue, and then he has to erase her memory. Eventually, she is in the crossfires and gets turned, so he needs to take care of her. Paranormal shapeshifters, wares, whatever. Desperately Seeking Shapeshifter by Jessica Sims. Heroine has a dark past and is about to be, people are trying to use her as a pawn in a political game, mating-wise. So hero steps in and becomes her mate to save her. But they save each other. Also, he's a virgin and it's adorable. Steampunk romance, The Iron Duke by Mel Jean Brooke. Alternative history where zombies took over most of the earth and that stopped the Mongolian invasion of most of continental Europe and Asia. Heroine is a detective. Hero is the most infamous dude in London. Radiance by Grace Draven is my pick for fantasy romance. Slow burn AF, politically arranged marriage between two species that they're not sure actually can even mate, and just adorableness and communication. Urban fantasy romance, Slave to Sensation by Nalini Singh. Future Earth, where there are shapeshifters and psychic beings called Psy, who are in a tense political situation with between themselves and humans. A Psy woman is slowly falling apart. Shapeshifter dude realizes she's his mate, and political intrigue ensues. Romantic urban fantasy, Burn for Me by Alona Andrews. Future Earth, people with magical-y abilities that are genetically inherited through houses. Heroine runs a private eye company. Hero is the most infamous dude in the world. Paths cross. Hijinks ensue. Sci-fi romance? Or really it should be romantic sci-fi. Romantic sci-fi. Clean Sweep by Alona Andrews. Heroine is an innkeeper, which is a distinction... is a job where she runs an inn for people across the galaxy to come stay on Earth at. She is trying to find out what happened to her parents who were innkeepers and disappeared, and people who come to stay at the inn cause a lot of trouble for her. Romantic suspense, The Obsession by Nora Roberts. Heroine's dad was a serial killer and she turned him in. There's a copycat killer about small town romance with local mechanic. True crime, Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow. Uncovering the Harvey Weinstein case leads Ronan Farrow to realize that there's also corruption at NBC and other institutions. Israeli spies try to stop him. Essay collection, Trainwreck by Sadie Doyle. Mixture of history and pop culture, examining women who have been a mess publicly and why we love to hate them. Memoir, My Life in France by Julia Child. Julia Child moves to France and falls in love with the food and the people. Along the way, we see her relationship with her husband. Beautifully written. Biography, Will in the World by Stephen Greenblatt. Biography of Shakespeare's life. Really readable. Does a good job summing up his life, work, and importance. A History of Ideas, Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi. History of racist ideas in America against Black people. Really cogently written and has a very clear argument. Would recommend to anyone. Historical nonfiction, The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. It's a history of the redlining practice in the US that kept non-white people out of prime areas of real estate and makes an argument about how that lack of ability to build wealth still affects people today. Sociological nonfiction, Evicted by, I believe, Matthew Green. It's up here. Examines cycles of poverty and homelessness in American cities, shows how easy it is to get in that cycle and how hard it is to get out. Feminist nonfiction, Are Women Human by Dorothy L. Sayers. Classic of feminist theory, very clearly written and easy to get through because it's so short. Concludes that women are indeed human. Science-related nonfiction, Bad Blood, Secrets and Lies in a Silicon Valley Startup by John Carreyrou. Examines, so this is true crime, I guess, technically, but examines a fraudulent company called Theranos that was creating blood analysis technology that didn't work. Talks a lot about the toxic corporate culture, but also a lot about the science of how our blood works and how it gets analyzed. Literary criticism, An Experiment in Criticism by C.S. Lewis. Very clearly written, very pragmatic and approachable, just great writing, basically. Books about books, Reading Like a Writer, a guide for people who love books and for those who want to write them by Francine Prose. Beautifully written, approachable kind of take on reading critically, and also applicable for writers, as in the subtitle. Book about writing, Bird by Anne Lamott. A classic, very specific style, but accessible. Lots of little nuggets of wisdom in here. Philosophy, Modern Social Imaginaries by Charles Taylor. An approachable topic within philosophy, clearly written and really relatable, I think, and applicable to daily life. Christian Theology, The Cross and the Lynching Tree by James H. Cone. Written in an approachable way. Theme here for several of these. Has a kind of gut level of relevance, at least from my perspective as an American, and specifically as an American from the South, in terms of the metaphor and points he's making, and very powerfully argued from experience and from theology. Jewish theology, I and Thou by Martin Buber. Poetic in its language, so maybe a little less approachable in that way. Relating to, I think, could be broadly relatable even if you don't believe in a specific God, to like the universe, and is exploring what it means to have some kind of connection to a higher power. History in graphic novel form, Mouse by Art Spiegelman. It's a telling of his father's experience as a Holocaust survivor, and it is told over multiple volumes. You could just read the first one. Groundbreaking, beautifully drawn, heartbreaking. Autobiographical or memoir graphic novel, March by John Lewis. His time as a main leader in the civil rights movement of the 1960s. The drawings work really well with the story. Really engaging, a modern classic, I think. Business nonfiction, The Big Short by Michael Lewis. Very readable narrative nonfiction about what led to the Great Recession. Will make you mad. General how-to nonfiction done well. How to Give Up Plastic by Will McCallum, I believe. Very approachable in terms of its subject matter. It's in the title. Practical, gives you steps to act on, and well-balanced in its perspectives. Narrative nonfiction, just like generally that writing style. In the Garden of Beasts by Eric Larson, about the lead up to World War II, set in Berlin, intrigue with a dubious American ambassador who's living there at the time. And finally, let's do some YA middle grade. So YA Contemporary, A Heart in a Body in the World by Deb Coletti. Trigger warnings, so good. Beautifully written. A girl is running across America to try to process something that's happened to her. YA Fantasy, Sabriel by Garth Nix. Beautifully written. Necromancy. A girl is going on a quest to try to find her dad. YA Mystery, The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Basically, this is YA Criminal Minds for teens who are preternaturally gifted, who have been recruited by the FBI to go to this boarding school training program. Middle grade contemporary, we'll go with that. When You Reach Me by, I don't remember the person, Rebecca Stead, that's it, by Rebecca Stead. New York City, I believe, school, friend group, trying to solve a mystery. Things are not as they seem. Beautifully written. Middle grade fantasy, and I want to say this is technically YA, but I think in today's market reads more like middle grade, so I'm going to put it here. Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. Girl gets cursed and transformed. She goes to live with a wizard in hopes that she can get back to her family. A lot of hijinks ensue. Middle grade, borderline YA again. These things, I decided it had a Newbery, so I was like, okay, we'll put it in middle grade. A Wrinkle in Time, sci-fi, I should say middle grade sci-fi. A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. This is a classic. This is girl and her genius brother trying to find out what happened to their missing physicist dad, and they go on a wacky sci-fi adventure from there. Wow, okay, and I guess this is the last one. Middle grade mystery, The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin, another classic. Everybody who lives in a building is in a competition to try to win an inheritance. Who will prevail? Woo, okay, I think that is all the recommendations that I have listed. I enjoyed doing this, but it was quite an undertaking. I would definitely be interested to hear what y'all's thoughts are on my recommendations. I tried to pick things that I thought if you had never read that subgenre would be representative of the subgenre as well as being high quality, but I'm sure that there's plenty of other recommendations one could make from this, but these are just mine. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope maybe something in there was interesting to you, sounded good to read, and I think that will do it for now. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you are having an absolutely lovely, lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye.